Hi there. We learned in class about resolving negative exponents and zero exponents within the context of a ratio. And we know that this actually is a ratio because anything can be written as over 1. We just don't typically write that 1. So I'm going to be looking at each of these coefficients and variables independently to see, is there an exponent that I need to somehow resolve? So this 4, it has a positive exponent, a positive 1. Again, we just don't typically write it. And so I'm good to leave that 4 in the numerator of my ratio. This x, however, it has a negative exponent, and that's an issue because I don't want negative exponents. And I can resolve that by changing the location of that variable. Currently, this x to the negative 3 is in the numerator. So I can change this to a positive 3 by switching the x from the numerator down to the denominator. And so this x is going to come to the denominator, and the negative 3 is going to become a positive 3. Any variable or coefficient that has a 0 as an exponent is technically 1, and that's true for anything with 0 as an exponent. It's actually 1. And so we have up in the numerator times 1. So my last step is just going to be to look, do I have any other steps that would require simplification or combining like terms, something along those lines. And I notice here that while there are no other x's, so I'm good to leave x cubed in the denominator, 4 times 1 can be simplified to just 4. And that is my answer. Hi there. We learned in class about negative and zero exponents and what it means to resolve those within the context of a ratio. We are looking in this problem, this is number 18 on your 5.1 practice worksheet. We are looking to get rid of the negative 1 exponent and negative 3 exponent, or to resolve those, because we don't want our exponents to have negatives and we don't want our exponents to be zeros. So we're going to look at each of these variables independently and coefficients independently. The 6, we know it has an exponent of 1. We just don't write it. And 11 has an invisible exponent of 1, as does the u and the v. And I'm going to go ahead and write in the exponents on the u and the v, because I'm going to be distributing this negative 3 to both terms within these parentheses. That way I can get rid of the parentheses. And we know from our laws of exponents last year that when I want to power an exponent, right, so we have v to the first to the negative third, that I can resolve that by multiplying. So the 11, the u is going to be 1 times negative 3, which is negative 3. And the v is going to be 1 times negative 3, or negative 3. And the w will leave for now. Okay, so all I've done there is get rid of the parentheses by multiplying. Next, I'm going to take each exponent that has a negative and treat it individually. So we have the 6, which is good, so I'm going to leave it in the top. And the 11, which is good, so I'm going to leave it in the bottom. But this t to the negative 1, I want to get rid of that negative, and to do that I'm going to flip the side of the fraction it's on. So this t is currently in the numerator, so I'm going to bring that t to the 1 to the denominator. It's going to become to the positive 1, because when you switch the part of the fraction it's on, you change the sign. Same with the u to the negative 3, it's currently in the denominator, so I'm going to switch it to the numerator, and the negative 3 is going to become a positive. Same with the v, it's in the denominator, so I'm going to switch it to the numerator, and the 3 becomes a positive. And then the w to the 4th, that's already a positive exponent, so I'm going to leave it where it is in the denominator. And so my last step is just going to look to see, is there anything I can combine or simplify any further? The 6 over 11, neither of those have exponents. 6 over 11 doesn't reduce. There's nothing that comes out of both, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it as 6 over 11. There are no other u's, so this is going to stay u cubed. There are no other v's, it's going to stay v cubed. This t, I'm going to go ahead and write it just as t because it's the same thing as t to the first. And then there are no other w's, so this is going to stay w to the fourth. And there is our answer.